Testing, testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's RHJunior coming to you live with spleen squeezins. Yay! 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, boom, diddy, boom. In case you were guessing, spleen squeezing. Yeah, that's us. That's me. It's a royal we. It's a royal we. Let's see, let's shuffle these. Shuffle it again, just for I don't know. I don't know how the shuffler works on these things, I really don't. Let's see. Okay. Rippling waves of light. I like it. Love it. Can't get enough of it. Okay, I don't know if you all are out there. I really got to come up with a different way to do this. It's so annoying. It's so frustrating. It just won't work. It will not work like a proper camera thingy. So I can't figure it out. Okay, I don't know how long I'm going to be on here. I really don't. So, we'll make the best of what time I do use. Okay, let's see here. I got something to take care of here. Got a money order I've got to mail out. Government's got to get its fair share of my arts. Now the thing is, I like, speaking of money orders, just random thought here. I regret that I'm not close. I stop off at Walmart and get my money orders there. They're these MoneyGrams, but the way they're written, it's hard to tell. You got a line here that says "pay to the order of," and this is right where you write who you pay it to. And then it has a line for the purchaser and for the address, and you don't know. Now in the postal money orders, the buyer address is on one side, and the person, the buyer's information is on one side, and the recipient information is on the other side. It's all very clear, and you know what you're supposed to write where. But these things just don't quite measure up. In some way, they got it's all in one place. It's difficult to figure out correctly. And I'm always worried I'm writing the wrong thing in the wrong spot. And it's very difficult to tell one or the other. And once you get home, you're sitting on here trying to fill this thing out, and you can't exactly run back to the counter and go, "Excuse me, is this where I'm supposed to write this? Is this where I'm supposed to write that? And what is this? What the hell is this?" Let's see. Internal Revenue Service, make out to. The money goes to the Internal Revenue Service, but you're supposed to make it out to the U.S. Department of U.S. Treasury. Because just to be a pain in the ass. Pardon my language. But really, well, I've been thinking phrase, this is my thought, random thought, invention of the decade, Hostess meat pies. You can go down any store aisle and you will find like Hostess fruit pies sitting there right there on the shelf, right on the shelf. They're not refrigerated or nothing. And I'm thinking, why don't they make Hostess meat pies? Shelf safe Hostess meat pies. I mean, there are meat products you can put on there. I mean, they have beef jerky and a couple other things. Can't think of, but I'm thinking, I like to be able to go and buy a Hostess meat pie. Get a meat pie. Get it with like meat, like a barbecue one, or maybe a chicken one, or just go up on the shelf. Oh, wait, meat pie. Hostess meat pie. I can't imagine how many preservatives it would have to have in order to do that, though. I mean, fruit goes bad. People are saying, but the meat would go bad on the shelf. Well, fruit goes bad on the shelf, and yet they're able to put those Hostess pies out there for a month at a time. So you can't tell me they can't figure out how to make shelf-safe meat pies. There's good. And I know they already have like pot pies and hot pockets and things like that, but those are all refrigerated, or even better yet, stuck in the freezer. You stopping off, and you've been on the road a while, and you've been living on like Twinkies and beef jerky and meat pie and fruit pies and stuff, and those fruit pies actually sound kind of good right now. Yum num 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 num. You know. The rain got on this envelope apparently, and now it's glued shut. I hate it when that happens. All it takes is a little humidity in the air, and you envelopes that self-seal. Hate that. Like my things weren't complicated enough. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. I need a piece of tape. I haven't got any tape. Well, this is tragic. All I've got is duct tape. That'll seal an envelope. Oh, hell yeah. You ever seen this thing, the rationalist movement? A new name for skeptics. Uh, how conceited, you know? I'm a rationalist. I'm logical. Yeah, good for you, Dr. Spock. Or Mr. Spock. Dr. Spock, whole different guy. For those who are wondering, Dr. Spock was a guy back in the 60s, had all sorts of brilliant ideas about revolutionary parenting techniques that have been buggering up the world ever since he opened his pie hole. Figure him out for yourself. I mean, geez. Uh, feel free to look the dude up. Seriously. Oh, geez, I guess I do need to buy some more stamps. Okay. But, there we go. New envelope sealed up. Almost out of stamps. Slow process, but there you go. I'm never ordering anything from Papa John's ever again. Just no. You know, you'll notice they have all these deals on, 50%, 40% off, 50% off. So, there's a reason for that. Alright, we got Final Legend Zero in house. In a house. Oh yeah. So exciting. Okay. Okay. Gotta figure out the layout for this next one. It's I gotta put in an intermediary page there, and well, that's no good. Where'd the music go? I don't know where the music went. I don't know where the music went. Okay, and why is it... He's not doing nothing. I'm going to switch out to the slide. So this screensaver thing, it's cool, but it's cumbersome, and it's also sort of bogging stuff down. I think it's taking up a lot of bandwidth and a lot of let's see, playlist, add, media files. I've downloaded a buttload of random images here. I'm just gonna stick them all up here because because just because. These are images I've just picked up all over the internet. I claim no copyright on any of them, like, except the ones that I drew. Give you something to look at, but without having to jam up my computer with that other program. It's a nice program. I love the artwork that the images and stuff it generates, but it bogs everything down, and it makes it hard for me to switch from window to window because of the way it's set up, and I can't figure out how to fix it. So we're back to slideshow images. I just uploaded tons of images, uh, political thingamajiggies, uh, comedy, memes, life hacks like this one. Running in the sand burns 30% more calories. Yay! The likelihood of me running anywhere, nothing. Me running anywhere, not likely. Not likely. But you get the idea. And it lets me open up other stuff without having to switch over to the desktop here. It's okay. Who all's in channel? Okay, we got Final Legend Zero, we got me, and we got one other person who hasn't spoken yet. Speak, speak, reveal thy name. Oh, now this is an interesting thing. You can turn you can color eggs with onion skins and red cabbage. You take some eggs, you boil them. If you boil the eggs with onion skins, they'll turn a sort of rust orange. And you boil them with red cabbage, they'll turn a sort of pale gray blue. That's nifty. Got a comment here on Shorn. You remember my short story, Shorn? Uh, Zone Shifter D. He was pointing out it's the same problem that people have with Estelle the Shrew in Nip and Tuck. They think you're making an obvious caricature that is not truly accurate to the reality of the thing you're criticizing. When in fact you are not just being more accurate than they think, but probably watering things down a bit because there really are people that flat out insane. Talking mostly about the reasons why people have been shorn against their will. In the story Shorn, I had Rarity touch on some of these are some real life things. Shearing somebody, forcing them to have their hair cut off. It's usually done as a means of destroying their dignity. Shearing the hair off of women suspected of collaborating with the Germans in post-World War II France, for one. Women in, likewise the Jewish women in the Holocaust, having their heads shaved when they went into the death camps. It was a horrible indignity. And what's really horrifying is that there are many Jewish communities where the older women, the women are expected to keep heads nearly basically shaved. And just the irony just sickens you. There's one Jewish woman wrote about it. She said she tried to buck the trend, and the rabbis kept coming around and leaning on her, and just nagging at her, and until finally she broke down and shaved her head again. She's left that community since then. She says she's never going to submit to that again. At one time the Nazis used to do this to her grandmother and great grandmothers, this horrible indignity, and now the Jews are doing it to themselves. And she's just, and in many cultures, shaving a man's beard off was a way of emasculating them. Shaving a man's head, and in most cults, head shearing is a common way of dehumanizing the new acolytes, removing their individuality. And people that read this story, they didn't see it from Rarity's perspective. They could not see it from that perspective. Complete incapability, a complete inability to see anything from other than their Western progressive, public school raised perspective. But if you took any one of them, and if you took any one of them and had them forcibly shorn, can you imagine taking one of these people that one of these critics of the story? If you'd taken any one of them and dragged them into a bathroom and forced them, shaved off their hair, the trauma, they would consider the trauma lawsuit worthy. It's just a failure of understanding, and it's one of the heartbreaks of advocating anything of value or decency, virtue in this world, is because one of the hardest things is accepting that some people not only can't, they don't want to understand, and they won't. And they will turn their own brains inside out to keep from understanding you. Even when what you're trying to explain to them is as obvious as 2 + 2 = 4. And being the way I am, I spend. You have no idea how much time I spend. For all that I'm reactionary, and I tend to go on the attack in an argument. You have no idea how much time I spend when I'm on my own saying, what did I do wrong? What did I say wrong? Why can't I get this concept across to them? What are the words that will translate into whatever space language they're speaking? That will get the concept across. And you never know if they really understand you, and you can't understand why they're rejecting what you've just shown them. I've come to accept it as a reality of day-to-day life, but it still eludes my understanding how, well, for instance, Islam, the whole issue of Islam. Islam is a genocidal how do they refer to it? As a philosophy of conquest. It's not a religion, it's a philosophy of conquest. And it has been since the days of Muhammad himself. The man was a pedophile. His favorite wife was 9 years old when they married, and they consummated it at 11. He was a filthy, nasty man. He was a rapist. He was a murderer. He was a traitor. The way they took over Mecca was they came in as a quiet, and we're just nice little Muslims. We're nice little people. We call ourselves Muslims. We'll just be here in this little corner, breeding like rabbits and recruiting like mad. And the next thing I know, the people of Mecca are conquered from within, and lopped off heads started rolling in their streets. That's how Mecca and Medina both were taken. And that's how Islam has taken every square inch of territory it owned. It beguiles people into believing that they're harmless, comes in, sets up their places of worship, and then starts recruiting among the disgruntled, disaffected, and sociopathic in their society. They're pushing heavily, recruiting in the prisons of the United States. That's how they've been. That's where a lot of their most recent, the great number of their acquisitions are coming from, and then they push, they push for quote unquote tolerance, and then they accuse everybody of oppressing them, even as they grow more belligerent and more violent, until finally they're making the rules, and they take over from within, and thus the caliphate spreads. But we still have people, we've got live footage of people being executed in the most hideous, horrible, brutal ways imaginable. Drowned, beheaded, burned alive, hanged, stoned. We have footage of them assaulting and raping women in the streets of Germany and Great Britain and France, and there are still people insisting that we absolutely have to take in the refugees from their wars. And they're not refugees. What they are is an invading army. When the refugees are all young adult to middle-aged men, able-bodied, marching over your border, and all the women, all the women and children and old people are still back in the country that they're fleeing. What does that tell you? No, it's an invasion. And they're out there screaming. They're out there screaming into the camera, "I just beheaded this Jew for Allah." And you got some twat sitting back in the United States. Well, this is obviously not a real Muslim. He's standing there holding a Quran in one hand, a bloody machete in the other, screaming Allahu Akbar. His local mad mullah is up on a pulpit behind him screaming death to the infidel and pointing to the passages in the Quran that teach it. And in every nation, they have conducted surveys. Over half, the minimum is at least half the population, the Muslim population of every country, admits to supporting jihad. And they say things that if they'd come out of the mouths of anybody else, the usual suspects would have rounded up the torches and pitchforks and run them out of town. If a Methodist had come out saying some of the things these animals say about women, I'm not kidding you. Pitchforks and torches and shotguns. But because a Muslim says it, they try and pretend it was anything but. And they are so in denial. They will be claiming, well, these people really aren't Muslims, and we don't want to offend the real Muslims by flinging accusations, even as the machete bites into the back of their necks. They're going to get us all killed, and I cannot comprehend the level of delusion it takes to cling to these beliefs in the face of the blood flowing in the streets. Just how horrible do these people have to behave, and just how loudly, it's like the little black, the little graveyard joke. The violent Muslims are making the other 0.1% look bad. Here's a statistic for you. Only 10% of Germany was Nazi at the height of World War II, and yet every last one of the Nazi, the death camps still were choked with corpses. Well, what a state of delusion people have to be in to not make a connection between the ideology and the outcome. You got people running around trying to claim that that the Soviet Union wasn't communist. There wasn't socialist and it wasn't communist, and they run around claiming that the National Socialist Party wasn't socialist, and they're running around there trying to claim that Red China wasn't red. Because in their headspace, socialism is compassionate and kind, and Bernie Sanders wants to buy us all cookies. They can watch the slaughter of millions in the name of socialism, and in the name of collectivism, and turn right around and say, let's try that again. We'll get it right this time. I'm like, how do these people reach breeding age? Shouldn't there have been a truck bumper with their name on it? My dad used to tell me this story about this one kid, mentally challenged, and his brother used to haul him around in a wagon, right? And one day they were crossing the street, and his truck, this car started hurtling down the road towards them, and the kids panicked and scattered, and the kid, the little retarded kid in the wagon, didn't have enough sense to run, and the guy managed to get control of his car at the last second, and the car screeched to a halt, bare inches from the kid. And the disaster is that the little retarded kid got it in his head that this meant that cars were afraid of him. And just for fun, he would run out into, every day, they had to watch him like a hawk, because just for shits and giggles, the kid would, at any opportunity, he'd run out into the street and stand in front of the traffic just to watch the cars swerve and screech to a halt, because that was funny. And they whipped him and they punished him, and he would not. They could not break him of that conviction. Cars are afraid of me. They could not break him of it. And then one day he wandered off and he found a set of train tracks. He thought, boy, if it's fun making a car stop, imagine how much fun it's going to be making one of them big old trains stop. And guess what? Train didn't stop in time. And from what he told me, that kid got, the cow catcher normally would knock, the idea of a cow catcher is to knock somebody, things off the track and off to the side. But for whatever reason, that cow catcher caught him head on. He flew, he was as good as dead anyway. He landed in the tracks ahead of the train, and the whole train rolled over him. We've got a bunch of retards running around thinking that cars are afraid of them. And they're going to drag us all out onto the train track for another go. I had some guy commenting. He said, I shouldn't be judging the social justice warriors and the Occupy, all these movements that are out there right now. Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, there's OWS, BLM, SJWs, feminists, and all this other crap. You're judging. You really shouldn't be judging them just by just what's on Facebook or Tumblr. Well, I'm like, you idiot. These people, this isn't stuff by other people. This is stuff out of their own mouths. The reason I reference Tumblr is because it's these Tumblr tards, it's these social justice warriors, these are the words out of their own mouth. No, I'm not judging them just by Tumblr. I'm judging by the footage I've seen of them. I'm judging them by the news articles I've seen about them. I'm judging them by the police reports. I'm judging them by the news reports. I'm judging them by what they are actually doing in real life out in the street. in their I'm sorry, we're not going to Imagination Land for this one. In Imagination Land, they see themselves as brave, noble heroes fighting the power. In Meat Space, they're retards. They're big, overgrown children. And they're out there screaming and yelling and throwing things and throwing temper tantrums. And you've seen the footage of Trigglypuff. You've seen her. You've seen Trigglypuff. A bunch of people come in. A bunch of spokespersons come in, try to have a debate on a college campus, an open debate, and she and her lesbian hangers-on are out there screaming and yelling profanities, trying to drown them out so they cannot be heard. Apparently, this same brand of idiots has been out there trying to deal with trying to pull this crap on the neo-Nazis. There's apparently, I forget where, somewhere in Europe, they had a bunch of these. I forget what the group is called, but they're fighting the fascists. They're brave and heroic, and they went out there with their mob, and they tried to harass a bunch of skinheads. You can guess, it did not go well for them. It really did not go well for them. They had to go to the hospital and have knives and other cutlery removed from their bodies. Dumb frickin' people. They deny that it's going to happen. They deny it after they're denying it even as it is happening. And they deny it even after it's happening. It's a matter of historical. You can't. How can people like this even exist? A lot of people will blame it on the fact that we have made the world a little bit too safe for stupid people. As the old joke goes, take the warning labels off everything and just let nature take its course. It's more than just physical safety. We're talking about we have an entire generation right now that was raised in daycare centers. They were never taught that water would wet them or that fire would burn. They were, in fact, studiously watched to make sure that they, no matter how stupid they were, they didn't injure themselves. They spent their entire lives with everything padded, all the corners rounded off. They can't even ride a tricycle now without a helmet. When you raise a nation of pussies, you don't raise just a nation of pussies. A bunch of people who can't cope with danger. You raise a bunch of idiots. because they completely lack the ability to do any rational assessment of real danger. Is one of the paradoxes of human nature. They found this out. They found out that the more traffic laws you put up, more traffic signs and lights and so on and so forth, and the more regulations you put on driving, the worse the accidents get. Seriously, it's a feedback loop. They think, the people are out there following the signs and everything else religiously, but they assume that because speed limit this and that and so on and so forth, that the people putting up these signs have made careful assessments to make sure it's perfectly safe. And so they assume that you see a sign that says warning. You ever seen those little yellow signs on a curve in the road ahead, and it says 15 warning caution 15 miles per hour or whatever speed. Now, if you were to take that curve at 15 miles per hour and you were to, for whatever reason, lose control, the fault is yours, according to the law. They didn't make that speed limit based on assessing how really safe it was to be at that speed. Even with those signs up, you are expected to know how safe a speed you can take that curve at. The problem is that people on the other end of the stick, people behind the wheel, think that the people setting up the signs are the ones who made the assessment. One of the problems they had, back when everybody was still talking about drunk drivers, they found out they had a problem with drugged drivers. And not people on illegal drugs, people on over-the-counter medicine. Over-the-counter and prescription medicine. They were driving impaired, and they didn't realize it. And when they were stopped, either by a cop or by a tree, one of the first things they said was, "But my doctor gave it to me." They assumed because an authority figure made the decision that made it safe. Just like when they were little toddlers and a teacher came along and put padding on all the corners on the desks and made everybody wear their elbow pads and helmets and everything else, and laid out nice big soft mats, and everything was made of Nerf. And because teacher took care of it, then everything was safe, everything was good, And they've grown up thinking that authority figures make it, word from an authority figure makes everything safe. And we have expunged the capacity for rational risk assessment from the common man. Even each of us individually, our grandparents could spot danger coming the way, they could smell trouble coming the way you or I could smell gasoline. But you and me, we haven't got a clue. By making things overly safe and regulating safety out to the limits, we got people who have no capacity for realistically assessing a danger. And this is why you've got people out there, these stupid women out there, actually waving signs. I've seen them. We'll trade our racists for your rapists. And a few months later, they learn to their screaming horror it's not such a great deal. They believe that the world is obligated to make everything they do perfectly safe for them. And if it isn't, they'll sue. And they haven't figured out yet that when the fit hits the shan, there's not going to be anybody to sue. There's not going to be any teacher they can run to and cry and demand that that they go and punish the little Ahmed for burning down their village. We have removed the consequences of being stupid. And is going to cost us our civilization. And a side of you goes, shouldn't we make things better? Shouldn't we make things safer? Shouldn't we make these? We should make it possible for things to be better and safer and so on and so forth. But we shouldn't expect safety as a divine right. Safety is not one of the inalienable human rights written, that was spoken of in the Constitution. Well, we got too many people who think that it is their right and that it's somebody else's job to make everything they want to do safe, no matter how impossible that is. This is why you got people screaming and throwing tantrums in the street because we haven't found a cure for AIDS yet. How do you get AIDS? Here's how you get AIDS. You either use a dirty needle while doing illicit drugs, or you have illicit sex. Whether we're talking largely it's spread through homosexual sexual intercourse. They found out, they tried to talk about the up and coming heterosexual AIDS epidemic, and it never happened because it does not spread as nearly as quickly or as well through heterosexual intercourse as it does through homosexual intercourse. I can go into great detail as to the mechanics as to why, but it just boils down to that. But telling anybody that is, taboo, because admitting that homosexual intercourse is more dangerous and more harmful, admitting that homosexual intercourse is harmful and dangerous while heterosexual sex is safer, that's the forbidden truth. It's the forbidden truth. But you got people out there, they demand that we make their buggery, safe and fun and healthy for them. And so the rest of civilization is expected to spend billions of dollars chasing a cure for a disease that you could stop from spreading simply by practicing common sense, just so that they can keep on behaving the way they are now. The heterosexual community, there are straight people who have AIDS, yeah, and generally it's because they slept with somebody who slept with a bisexual. And here's the kicker: they found out years ago there was a campaign among us in one gay community that a bunch of them who were HIV positive made an oath to go out and have sex with as many heterosexual partners as they could, so as to spread the disease further and force the man to spend more money on AIDS research. And there have been individual cases too. There was a doctor down in Florida, a dentist. He and his partner, they found out that they were HIV positive. They had AIDS, and he turned bitter and vengeful against the straight community. He started mixing his blood with the Novocaine he injected into his patients. And God only knows how many people he infected with the disease. They had found at least several dozen that this man alone had sentenced to death. You know, he died, and this fact came, and then they found some, shall we say, discolored Novocaine and realized and found out what was happening. Before he died, he'd managed to murder a bunch of people for the crime of not being gay and not having AIDS. But you tell people that that this kind of thing is going on, and they call you conspiracy nut. They call you a liar, basically. Are you starting to get the picture I'm painting here? Are you starting to get the picture I'm painting? You got the helicopter moms who run around, and if baby gets a boo-boo, they try and get laws passed to make whatever game they were playing covered with Nerf. To make it safer so that baby can play without getting a boo-boo. You got these scaremongers running around. It's just their whole gig is frightening people about something, getting more safety regulations passed, and there's just destroying it for everybody else. Halloween, here's a real kicker. You know that whole thing with razor blades and apples and poison in candy and drugs in candy? Guess what? They have not had a single case yet. Poison candy, they've never had a single case. Drugged candy, they never had it. What it was is that the whole urban myth springs from a man. He poisoned his own son with, he laced a pixie stick with cyanide. He laced a pixie stick that was in the kid's Halloween candy with cyanide so that he could get, make $1 million insurance claim. And then tried to pin it on whoever the kid got the candy from. There was another case where a kid found his uncle's stash of drugs, got into him and OD'd, and his parents tried to cover for the uncle by sprinkling the drugs on the kid's candy stash. Yo, what's up? Just a second, it's lawnmower guy. What's up? All right, it's just lawnmower guy. He's here. Oh, did you just mow the lawn, or?
Yesterday, the other day I did.
All right.
And then I noticed right here.
Yeah.
I asked you about if you want these taken out.
Yeah, I'd like those taken out. Okay.
I'll just do the same deals we did last month. We'll just do the 100, just do the 20, and that gets you all month.
Yeah, if you could hit it with a weed eater once in a while, please. Good. The 5th. 7-5. Okay, I'll have to get down to the bank later. All right. The instant you ask it, my brain went blank. How much you asking here?
It's 122.
120 total?
Yes, sir.
Let me see if I've got it, though. Let me see here.
I'll take whatever you got. Whatever.
Okay, hold on. Come on, computer. Giddy up.
Is that okay?
All right.
Sorry.
As soon as they... Let's see what I got in here. I've literally got just... Okay.
There you go.
Okay, do 100 even.
Have you sign right there. So you received it. That's fine. Receipts. That way you take me to federal court.
How often are you going to mow this
It's
month?
every 5 days.
Okay, you might want to write that down in there somewhere, too.
I'll just put per 5 days. Is that okay?
All right.
Per 5 days. Okay.
Weed eater all the way around.
Yes, sir. And that little bush right there, the park ranger, is up now.
Good.
Because I think it's on the bee's nest.
Oh, that's fun.
What is the thingy?
1776. Hey, dude. Oh, never mind. All right. Don't know why I'm hiring him. It's just easier than trying to track somebody else down to do it. And I'm broke again. Having him, I basically paid. I just paid him $120 to my last 120. I paid him my last $100 to mow this entire month. Considering that the next best thing I can get is somebody who wants $40, $50. Let's see. The last person I could find around here that wanted $40 to mow the lawn once, and that would have come out to $200. There's a professional lawn service around here, but they want $60. So this is about half the price I'd be paying otherwise. Yeah, reality is unrealistic. That sums up much of the trouble I have with people who criticize a lot of my characters. Is that they're caricatures, they're parodies, but they are far from inaccurate. I keep saying that, but nobody believes me. Of course, nobody believes me when I say that. Wish I had had enough money to ask him to pick up some soda or something. I'm thirsty. I'm all out of drink mix. I'm gonna have to mix up some Kool-Aid, I guess. Use enough sugar to anchor a blimp. I want to do something productive. I want to get some comics done today. At the same time, I'm having trouble with, crap. I'm having trouble pulling up enough give a darn itis at the moment. I just got to get my juices flowing here. I still haven't paid last month's lot rent, and that's $200. Well, actually, actually $300. I have to overpay it back. Just screw it. Here, I just figured out, I need readers. I need subscribers. I need Patreon patrons. I need, I need money. I need commissions. I need, I need to be more. I finally figured out here. I just figured out how to, here. I'm going to do something that's going to increase my readership. I'm going to increase my viewership in a matter of seconds. I just figured out something that will increase my readership in a matter of seconds. Here we go. Step 1. Step 2. There, I think I just managed to guarantee that I'm going to get more viewers than I've had all year by next broadcast. There you go, boys. Look at that. 4 curved line. That's all it did. Psych. Would adding my stories to DeviantArt actually increase my traffic? Would it do anything? Let's find out. In what format do you have to add stories to DeviantArt? Do you add them as... oh crap, I just deleted those, didn't I? I had them in HTML format. I think I deleted those. Oh man, I could draw porn. I could draw toe curling spooge. It would be easy. None of you would ever look at me the same either, and it would destroy. It would be self-destruction. Sometimes, though, I'm ashamed of myself for even mentioning it, that I could do it. But it is so frustrating. Do you realize what it's like to realize if you can draw worth a darn? It's like finding out. It's like learning that you know how to. It's like being Walter White. Okay, realizing you're trying to make a living as a school teacher. Effective, you're trying to make your living as a science teacher and washing cars and shit, and realizing that you could be making uh, what was it he made? Was it heroin crack? No. Meth, crystal meth. It's like finding out that you could make crystal meth out of Kool-Aid. That, for whatever reason, you have the power to make crystal meth out of Kool-Aid, and you don't, because you are clinging to your last shred of self-respect, right? And your last shred. Thank you. All right, they'll keep the bank account from going bonkers. All right. Like I was saying, it's like having your last shred of self-respect, and, and 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 it's all, and it takes everything you hold on to just to not take that last step. This is your reward for not going for the easy money. And it's when I get down in a slump, I always start thinking about that. Well, for obvious reasons. But I haven't gone that far yet. I've not. I've never drawn any. I've never. I've never tried to. I've never. I've never done any. Never taken any porno commissions or anything like that ever. Never. Not once. And you have to get up every morning, sit down at every day, and you're burned out, and you don't know if you're ever going to light your own fire ever again. You don't know if you're ever going to be able to bounce back. And all you can do is cling to the hope and the promises. Someday, you'll be rewarded for your clinging to your ethics. Even you're sitting there watching. There's a guy that does a comic strip called Sequential. He's called Jolly Jack. That guy, he's British and he sells things for I'm assuming because his price lists are like pound symbols. But I mean, he can sell crap out of his dustbin. He sells nudie pics, and on top of what he does on the side, he can take his scratch drawings, pile them on a DVD, and sell it. And yes, I have seen his work, so I'll confess to that. But really, it's crap. I've seen samples of his work as crude pencil sketches, unfinished, where he just stuffs it in and he's selling them, and even though people are putting, he's making his living that way. You'll pardon me if a little part of me dies inside knowing that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be whining like that. I shouldn't be whining like that. What you would lose. You have to get up and you have to keep telling yourself this is news. They found a new way to, people. Okay, this annoys me. This angers me. Now I've got something really to be mad about. Now, okay, I just went over to DeviantArt. Look at this. All right, people hate pop-up ads. Okay. They are the worst idea for advertising in the history of advertising. The only thing that can make it worse is that they pop up, and the speaking ones that you can't turn off. And people got mad about that, and so they invented ad blocker. And so instead of getting the message, they rewrite the code so now you get, if you have an ad blocker up, you get a pop-up ad that covers a third of the screen. We know you're not here for the ads, but ads keep the site running and free. Please add DeviantArt to your ad blocker's whitelist so that you can flood my inbox with your crap. None of these sites ever screen what ads go up. You get everything from porn to screamer ads. And you can't, if you do not block them, you don't know what kind of horrifying surprise you're about to get. But it's our fault that DeviantArt isn't able to make money off of these ads when we block them. Go to my homepage here. I've got 638 and I have no idea how to read them on this thing. Okay, submit, stash. Okay, downloads, premium content, sell prints. That just. Okay, I've got this. I've got Nix's family in rich text format. I've got text documents. I've also got it. No, I don't have it. I don't have it in other my stories. I'll put my completed stories up, but they're all in individual chapters. That's the thing. There we go. Waiting for it to finish downloading here. No. Should it be journals, personal, my scrapbook, DeviantArt related? Let's see here. My scrapbook. Literature. Here we go. Fan fiction. Fantasy. Okay. It's gonna take a while. Come on, come on. Oh, come on, computer. It's choking on itself again. Literature, fan fiction, fantasy. Mixing Alliance. It's gonna take a while. It takes a lot of little clickies. It's slow. It's slowing down the whole computer. Come on, computer, giddy up. Giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, up. Fan fiction, fantasy. Here we go. Submit now. And we submit with the fantasy. And we click on that again. And we go down. And we submit to the Nixian Alliance. Because it's a Nick story. Yay. Man, it's gonna take all day, boy. Ding dong, no, guarantee it. Boy, howdy. Got a button to click. Click, 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 click. What I was saying earlier, I'm not kidding, man. It's like having the suckiest superpower ever. You can draw, you have the ability to create something that possibly tens of thousands of drooling idiots will pay you cash to have, even though they can get it for free anywhere else on the internet. Do you get that now? And you can't use that ability because your morals and ethics forbid it. Cannot hear my wife. My eyeballs must have froze. Cannot hear my wife. I cannot see her face. Must have lost her at that turn at the Johnson place. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. My wife sure hates jingle bells since we rode that fun horse sleigh. Whoa! Just had to throw that one in there. Oh, anything but this, please. Ah! Oh, good Lord. Mouse just ran across my foot. Oh, there it is again. Okay, I'm setting out more mousetraps. You do not want to have something small and furry. Oh my gosh. That's no. Just what the hell? I got his cousin. I set a trap last night. A couple hours later, I'm like, job mission accomplished. Nope, he's apparently got family. Oh dang. You gotta be a damn stupid mouse to run. I see a giant foot. Let me run straight at it. I'm in the middle of adding Nightmare Night and Nyx to DeviantArt. I'm having to add it one chapter at a time. Okay? It's going slow. That booger, it was, what, 30 plus chapters long? No, well, it's 30 chapters long. It's Now, I've told you this before. I when I wrote Nyx's family, it was shortly, the original author of I had just finished Nightmare Night and Nyx, and the original author of Past Sins, the guy who created the character of Nyx, he had just written a Christmas story around Nyx and her family. It's called Winter Bells, and it revealed that Nyx and her, that due to her actions while she was Nightmare Moon, there had been a falling out in the family. That Twilight and Twilight and Nyx were sort of on the outs with Cadence and Shining Armor, because while she had been Nightmare Moon, she had literally she had brainwashed Shining Armor, and Cadence had to lead the rebellion. So bad, awkward family reunion Christmas time, And in my story, in my Halloween story, Nightmare Night and Nyx, Cadence and Shining Armor and Nyx had good relationship. They were getting along fine. So I had to have a transition. I had to write a little transition story explaining how Nyx and Kate and Shining Armor had reconciled. Originally, Nyx and Shining Armor, it was supposed to be like it was supposed to be a one chapter story, basically, where Shining Armor babysat. Through circumstances, Shining Armor ended up babysitting Nyx, and figured out, this isn't Nightmare Moon in a little pony suit. It really is a little filly, and she has her problems. She's small and sweet. She's scared about things, and she's got problems, and she's just a normal little kid. And and showing Shining Armor and Nyx learning to get along with each other. And it was only going to be a one shot. And I realized, okay, they're all the way over in the Crystal Empire. How am I going to arrange it so that Shining Armor, so Shining Armor and Nyx are together, and I had to write a chapter or two where Twilight was called back to the Crystal Empire to help out with something, and the more I wrote, the bigger the story got, and it kept growing and growing and growing. It was going to be a cute little. It started out as one chapter slice of life story about a loving uncle and his little niece, having a fun day together. And by the time I was done, giant kaiju were stomping through downtown Crystal Empire. And I sat back when it was all done. Like, what the heck happened here? What happened? It was the fanfic that ate my computer. And of course, this story has now had implications for every other story I've done since then in that setting. Conundrum for one, and then it had, and now in Cheerilee's class, there are aftershocks still going on. So there you go. A story can get the hell away from you. It turned out pretty good. I'd like to say. Of course, like every other writer, I'm like, I go back months later and read, I'd like to change that, and I'd like to fix that, and that over there needs fixing. I gotta fiddle. But I managed to control myself somewhat and keep myself from doing that too much. So, hey, don't laugh at me. I mean, you realize that J.R.R. Tolkien, when he wrote The Hobbit, he wrote two different versions. At first, he wrote a much more childlike version, and then he came back later and rewrote it. And then he wrote the Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And he looked it over, and he looked back at the Hobbit, and he said, "This no longer works. It's a little children's story over here connected to this great big epic saga." And he went back and he started rewriting the Hobbit again to make it, to make the atmosphere of it fit in better with the trilogy. And his friends read what he had done, and they told him, this is good. It's really good, but it's not the Hobbit. It's not the Hobbit anymore. And so he managed to pry his own fingers off the pen and step away. But it's very, since hearing about that, I've often wondered, what would it have been like, if he had continued? Because if you've ever gone back and read The Hobbit, it's really twee, in that cloying British children's book sort of way. It's very different in flavor from the trilogy. So there you have it, you can start out trying to write a cute little story. Next thing you know, it's eating your face. Look what happened. Look what happened to Harry Potter. I mean, I've got hard copies of the Harry Potter books around here somewhere. The first book, it's so tiny, and the last couple of books are bigger than the rest of the collection combined. It got bigger and bigger and bigger until it ate the British Isles. And that poor woman was probably sitting there, I just wanted to write something so I can make a few bucks. Jeez, what the hell happened? Next thing you know, she's got more money than the rest of the rest of the population of England. I've been looking over the Sanguine Chronicle. I've been going back over it. I'm like going, yeah, I don't know. I may just grind it out. I may just grind it out. Just finish it and go bleh. Because I desperately want to redo it. Start off entirely differently. But at this point, I'm sort of committed. You know. I'm really not sure any of the ideas are working. When I first started writing it, the whole thing, the whole point of the Sanguine Chronicles with the story of, with Marco and his friends is that it was supposed to be the whole thing was a jab at the Twilight frenzy that was going on at the time. I was so sick. Everybody was imitating Twilight. You couldn't walk past the book section in Walmart. There would be a half dozen different titles that had covers that were all black, except for one little highlight, spotlighted thing sitting there like a chess piece or an apple or something, and a single one-word title in Gothic script, and everybody was coming out with teen vampire, witch, ghoul, zombie, werewolf romances, and I was like, you're doing it. And of course, it turns out that my idea, half vampire, half werewolf, has already been beaten to death, and I haven't even finished the story. So oh boy, I got that one out in a timely fashion, didn't I? It's not done. I should never, ever, 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 ever. I should never, never, ever give myself any kind of schedule or deadline because I swear, it is all my life, it's almost been like a guarantee for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's some psychological thing, some deeply rooted neurosis problem thingy. But if the instant I have a deadline, that's a guarantee that I will miss it. And yet, if you don't give a deadline, you come. Oh, it's you doesn't give out a deadline. And they go, "Why are you so late? Why are you so late? Why are you taking so long? Why are you taking so long to come out with?" Give no deadline. Print the same. Put it out the same exact same time. Oh, so soon? So I'm really starting. And look what's happened with the probability bomb. I've hit, I've hit snags and stuff, and I just and nobody's been complaining. It's very good of them. I appreciate that deeply. But I've been grinding it out, and it's taking longer than every time I make a projection. It turns out to be nowhere near far enough a projection for how long it's going to take. And I mean, the story is only about two-thirds done, and even after it's done, we've still got to do the art gallery and the individual drawings, the various awards and stuff, and rewards to the patrons. And I'm going to be grinding it for months, and I'm thinking maybe another year at least. And I'm just being truthful here. Before I even approach something that looks like it could be wrapped up and packaged. I've got 8 more chapters to post. And you can see why I've delayed putting any of these stories up on DeviantArt. Like, good night. It's taken me a better part of an hour just to post, one story. That's an all-day job. At least it's fairly automatic. Four more chapters. And one last chapter. Here we go. Alrighty. Let's see here. Up to my RHJunior page. They're out of order. I think it's because they're not the names. I don't know. Gallery. That's a little aggravating. I don't know why they're in random order like that. Can't sort them by name, I guess. Maybe you can. I don't know. see how it looks. Ouch. I have no idea how to connect the different chapters together so it can link between them. Okay, the Sanguine Chronicles. That is a story I've been working on. I wanted to do a fantasy story. It's a urban fantasy horror kind of thing. The theme is that it's a basically it's a story of a young man. Uh, Before he was born, his mother, while she was pregnant with him, she is Rome. She is from Raman. She is from just she's Romani. Romani. How do you ever pronounce it? And she lived in Transylvania, and she came to the attentions of a vampire in that region. And as she was fleeing that country, she was accosted by the vampire and bitten. However, at the same time, there was a werewolf roaming loose in the area who took exception to a vampire being in its hunting territory. And it attacked. And she got bit by it in the scuffle. And while two were fighting, she made her escape. And approximately a month later, she died giving childbirth to the protagonist, who, it turns out, due to the rather bizarre circumstances, is half vampire, half werewolf, a strigoi. It's apparent the vampire and werewolves are both from original stock. If you look back through the folklore, originally vampires and werewolves were pretty much the same creature. If you go back far enough. In fact, in some parts of the world, they still have legends about creatures, bat-winged creatures that turn into wolves and suck blood, and it's a mishmash between the two. And the premise is he was adopted out to relatives who lived in the United States, his aunt and uncle. And when he hit puberty, he started coming into his vampiric powers. The problem is he has all the powers of both, as well as diminished versions of their weaknesses, including some of the ones you don't normally hear about. Anyway, he has spent most of his life. He spent his life up to this point living quite pretty much believing that he's not been contacted by vampires. He's not been contacted by the werewolves. As far as he knows, that they're as rare as hen's teeth. And there's none of them anywhere near where he lives. At least that's all he cares about, because he hates both of them. And among other things, the vampire, he hates the vampire romance trend, especially Twilight. He hates it because from his perspective, it's for him it's a curse and a disease. It's he's not contagious. He's been altered. The disease alters the victim genetically, and one of the consequences of him being a mix of both is that uh, both normally a vampire getting infected by a werewolf would be fatal for the vampire. A werewolf getting infected by a vampire would be fatal for the werewolf. And by all rights, he should have died. But instead, both diseases neutralized each other, killed each other off, and left him transformed. But he still regards, the whole, romantic vampire thing, as terrible. He hates it. It drives him up a wall because to him, it's not a tragically romantic life. It's a disease, a handicap. And by chance or by chance or ill fate or design of the writer, he and his friends end up getting roped into a school project on the mythology of vampires and werewolves and why that mythology has died out while other folklore remains the same. And they get saddled with a goth chick as a lab partner who is obsessed with vampires and all things dark and ooky, and she's and of course she a complete Twilight junkie. You get the idea, and they have begun trying to investigate, trying to figure out. We know you exist. Where are the others? Where are the other vampires and such? They've got to be out there. How do we find them? And so they've been conducting investigation, and covering it with this school project excuse. And unfortunately, the teachers take their word their teacher takes their word at it and saddles the three of them with this goth chick who does not know that Marco is actually a strigoi. And so they're trying to conduct their invasion and keep it undercover and keep her in the dark. And she manages to stumble across proof. And at the same time, it turns out that there are vampires out there. In particular, there is a goth band that is coming through town, and through various means, Marco determines that they are, in fact, real vampires. And that for whatever reason, they are scouting out their town, Marco's town, for something. And this is about the time that Aconite, that's the name of the goth chick they've gotten saddled with, figures out, she finds proof in Marco's house that vampires are real. And she figures out from the books and from the notes they've taken that this band is made up of genuine vampires too. And so she gets in her head, she decides she wants to be a creature of the night and runs off to one of this goth band's garage shows. and the Marco and his friends have to go rescue her because uh, these vampires are not going to make her, one of their children of the night. They are up to something far more sinister that they are yet to figure out, and they have to rescue Aconite from this vampire boy band. But by the time they rescue her, it's too late. The vampires have already injected her with a serum. And while they're fleeing, the serum takes effect. Unfortunately, it was not a vampire serum. It was a serum to turn her into a werewolf. She's not happy about this, to say the least. When all's said and done and she's recovered, she is not happy in the least to find out that she now has her own fur coat, complete with fleas. And the story is where they're trying to figure out what the dealio is. What are these vampires up to? Because they've been finding people. They've been finding people with the blood trait that only certain people can be turned into vampires. They follow hereditary lines. Other people, if they're bitten by a vampire, they die. And these vampires have been kidnapping people, kidnapping kids from their shows, and they apparently have help, organized help with a lot of money and a lot of guns. And Marco and his friends are trying to figure out what this is, but at one point they decide that the best they can do is to try and freak these guys out into leaving. Marco tried, they bumped heads with the vampires, with the vampire group, Coven. Uh, they came out, they met in a back alley, they popped their fangs and claws, and Marco proceeded to go, mine's bigger, and turned into his his full transmuted form. He's basically he's an anthropomorphic. He's a giant anthropomorphic wolf with bone white fur, blood red eyes, overly large front fangs, and enormous bat wings. And his transformation is so horrifying. His transformation is so gruesome that he scares one of the vampires into wetting himself. And they decide that their best course of action is try and convince these guys that there's already a coven in the area. Another group of vampires that's already staked out this turf. No trespassing. And they take it out, and it turns out that this vampire goth boy band has got some serious backing. People with money and suits and guns tucked into their suits who show up and to investigate. And now these unknowns, the men behind the men, are wanting to contact Marco and his coven, quote unquote, to make a deal. Only Marco doesn't have other vampires behind him. He's just got his two dorky friends from He's got his two dorky friends from high school, a teenage, a pudgy little teen goth who's just discovered she's a werewolf and is, coming unraveled because of that, and his elderly aunt and uncle who run an Eastern European themed restaurant, and that's it. And so I'm stuck at I've reached that point in the story, and I've been stuck there for ages. I'm trying to figure out where to take the story next, and the only thing I've come up with is this is going to start making the story even more ridiculous than it already is. And so I'm sitting here, spinning my tires on this story. In case you're wondering what this is, I had something of a meltdown there. I'm a little stressed and depressed. I'm out of money. I'm flat. I'm literally flat broke. I just paid the lawn guy to keep. I have to keep my lawn mowed. If I don't, the groundskeeper, the manager for the park, is going to ride up my rails, and he'd better be out there. He'd better be out there with that weed eater. He never trims the lawn right, and he's supposed to be coming out there. And I paid him $120 for the next month, which, quite truthfully, is a good deal, which is sad to say. And I've been, I'm kind of stressing out because, I've still got so many things to pay and no money to pay them with. I forget. Fine, fine, fine. You want to see? And I basically, sorry, I had kind of a meltdown. I'm basically fine. Here. I finally figured out something here. I got a way that will get me. They'll triple my viewership. I'll have people lining up around the block to watch my videos and throw money at me. Here, let me do it for you. There we go. Step one. There we go. No time flat. There we go. I just tripled my viewership. I darn well know it. You pervs. It would be so easy, and it would cost me everything. I have to keep telling. This is what you gotta understand. Don't expect me to be an angel. Don't expect me to be a saint. Don't expect me to be. Oh God, do not expect me to be immune to sin or temptation. The devil's flogging me day and night with a whip, trying to get me take one more step. Don't think just because I'm a Christian that yeah, just too. He's just too religious. Even if they don't think of me as righteous, they probably think of me as, I don't know, religiously frigid. He could never do that. I could do that. I could do it so easily. It would be like falling off a log. It would be easier than just just doing a double gainer. I wouldn't even have to try. Like tumbling into a pool. I don't know why they say like easy as falling off a log. Because falling off a log hurts. Land on another log. Boom. I'm not like tumbling into a pool. That makes sense. Take the nesty plunge. I could go for some nesty. Man, I'm serious. Don't assume that just because somebody is virtuous that they are not weak. The only difference between a virtuous person and a failed person is they're both sinners. They're both weak. I'm as weak as the next guy, and my only difference is I just it's just this little tiny thread. This little tiny thread. Just one little flimsy inch that I haven't gone yet, and it's so easy that it could happen. I just and I feel guilty for even bringing it up because I feel like you know put some money in the till or the smut gets it. But no. Uh, it's like having the world's suckiest superpower. I could be printing my own money, but I can't. I'm going. Yes, I'm going. I'm going to whine about this all the time, always. I'm going to whine about this till the day I die, because I'm weak, and that's who I am. And my eyes are up here. There's a joke for you. I'm going to be like this all the time because I have an easy way out. I have to get up every morning. I have to I've even when I'm not talking about it, even when things are going well, I have to get up every morning and tell myself it would not be worth it. It would be the easy way. Yeah, I have an easy way out right there. I have to, but I have to keep telling myself every single day, not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. It won't be worth it. Don't do it. It won't be worth it. You'd have money right away. You'd have you know, and it would be so easy. It would be so many people, and the shame of admitting defeat, the shame, of it's only it's not any virtue on my part that keeps me doing it, but pride. That's a sad thing. I'd like to think that it's my my Christian virtue given to me by heaven above that makes me unwilling to take that final step. Tra la la, but it's not. It's the shame. And that kind of hurts deep, realizing that it's your own selfish, your own selfish pride is the only thing keeping you from doing something absolutely terrible. And how fast, and I realize how fast. I know from past experience that I can, once I start doing something that I used to consider, I used to talk all the time about, these, you know, I remember I used to talk about telemarketers. These telemarketers, they're scum. Yeah. And guess what I had a job as for a stretch of a few years. That's right, telemarketer. I didn't sell anything. I didn't sell anything. But I was with I worked for a company that did surveys and things like that, and I worked for another company that did well, I wasn't good. They did fundraisers, and I also took incoming calls for the fundraising organization, and job requests and things like that, and I found all sorts of rationalizations. All of a sudden, when I was the one earning the paycheck, if I was to start, I mean, think about it. I've drawn plenty of pinup girls, girls, and I've drawn pictures of girls in bikinis and stuff, and sold them. There's one picture that basically was of implied nudity. But she, had that Lady Godiva thing with her hair flowing everywhere, and it was a unicorn lady. Years before My Little Pony. Even. I was on the trend before it was even there. But she had, But anyway, and just skipping my way along the edge of the pool, trying to get wet with the money, trying to get the money wet with the money, and constantly an inch, just so close to taking the nasty plunge. It would destroy everything. I know I'd lose everybody. I would lose everything. I know I would lose you people. I would lose my own self-respect. I wouldn't be able. I would be estranged from. I wouldn't be able to talk to my family about what I did for a living, and if I ever did, the the chasm that would open up between me and my family would be immeasurable. And I have to tell myself, these are all the things I have to tell myself every single day. If you have a gift, if you have any kind of gift, it's it's distressing to realize if any kind of gift you have, it'll be so easy. You don't realize how easy it is for anybody to go Walter White. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Breaking Bad. I watched the first couple of episodes on Netflix, man. Very, it's the reason that show was so popular is because it spoke to people. This man, is a story is about Walter White. He's a high school teacher. He's no respect. He's treated like crap by the school. And in order to make a living, he has to take a second job working a car wash. I mean, that's like minimum wage crapola job. And and he's and these same kids. He's got these kids that he's got in class. The juvenile delinquents and the ones that are disrespecting him all the time. He's out there having to wax their car as they go through. He spends the days telling them, stay in school, kids, because it's really important. And then they come around, drive through, and they see him there waxing the hood of their Porsches. So, oh yeah, right. Real important, Mr. White. Yeah, I take your word for it. And it turns out that the guy, Walter, he used to work for the government, on their as a physicist. He was in the on nuclear power projects and nuclear weaponry, and they kicked him to the curb, and now he's teaching a high school. He can't even pay the bills, and then he gets cancer, and that was the last straw. Because it's not about the money. It's not about he later on the show in the series they stress it's not. He stresses it himself. It wasn't about doing it for the family or doing it so that they'd be provided for, any of that other crap. Because there were people that the insurance company was willing to cover him. He had friends who were willing to bankroll him, and so on and so forth. He had resources to fall back on, but it just broke his will. And he tumbled to the fact that one of the less than brilliant high school kids he had in the neighborhood was selling crystal meth. And he goes in there and he sees what kind of lab the kid's got. He's, during a raid, he follows his brother-in-law in, and he's like, "Oh, good night." And he's a chemist, and he takes that kid's resource and he produces the finest, purest crystal meth that anybody in the region has ever seen. And it's like gold is dripping from his fingertips. And he goes into it full bore. And he starts out with a few rationalizations, but after a while he's already dying of cancer, and he goes from being Walter White, the beat thing, he becomes Heisenberg. And he loses everything. Literally, he was already losing everything, so he had nothing to lose. And that speaks a lot to millions of people, because there isn't a talent out there that can't be turned to evil purposes. Do you realize how much? Think about it. Every day, your pharmacist gets up, and he's faced with the reality that he could just, flip out one day, load up his pockets with illegal drugs, fake some paperwork, and go out and make himself enough money to buy a new house. How many people with their own greenhouse goes, I could just put a row of plants back here the government doesn't need to know about. Every person that runs a cash register has to look at it every single day and and keep their fingers out of the till. And it's not, and more often than not, it's not virtue, but it's not any innate virtue. I'm too just and noble and good, and I'm, it's unthinkable to me. But you're standing there thinking about it. The artist who could become a pornographer, the artist or writer who could become a pornographer, the look at what happened to televangelists. Televangelists, I mean, these people, many of these people, you try to talk about how they were frauds. Many of them started out as men who wanted to serve God genuinely, and it became a fraud. Think of all the computer programmers who think, I could put in a couple of lines of code in here and be vacationing in Tahiti by the end of the month. And all of us, we're all struggling so hard, and it's getting harder every day. It's getting harder every day to make an honest living. And we have to get up every morning and say, in the long term, it wouldn't be worth it. But none of us live in the long term. That's the real hard part. None of us live in the long term. In the long term, it'll be worth it. But this week is when they want the rent. 2 months from now, next month, I've got to come. In 2 or 3 weeks, I have got to come up with several $100s again, just to keep my electricity connected. And you can't save anything, and you can't set anything aside, and well, you get my point. And every morning you get up and do it all over again. And some days you wonder when you're going to reach a point when you're all out of options. holds me back, though. Deep down, I know that someday I'm going to have to stand before God and give an accounting of everything. And that's probably the final line, the only thing that really, really holds me back from just saying to hell with it all and just doing whatever it takes, you know, going full mercenary and fox and grapes, I suppose. I won't try, fox and grapes. I can look away from them from now, but I don't know what I'd do if the grapes were put within my reach. I don't think anybody knows. People who tell you, you give them a scenario and they say, I would never do that. They don't know. They don't know. Nobody knows until they are confronted directly, face to face, with the choice. And I suppose that me talking about it like this is how I cope with that, you know, with a miserable temptation. I'll make it one clear. I'm not much happier after the discussion is over. But I've gotten through it. It would be nice, somebody out there say something. Please talk. Believe me, this is no time for a guy like me to be sitting here listening to nothing but the voices in his own head. What the heck is a motion book? Says here in DeviantArt, create a motion book. Homie don't know what that is. An animated comic. Oh, an animatic. That's what they're called. Yeah, whatever. Oh, as always, shaking the tin can, saying, "All right, homie broke. So if you get a chance, if you can, stop by the website, throw a little something in the tin, something in the hat. Doesn't have to be much, just a couple of bucks, something, anything. Just got to keep the wheels greased and lights lit and the boiler and the engine boiling and whatever. So you know, and I'm always taking commissions and always taking it. I make no promises on when each commission will be done, because but I will do them. They will get done. It's the I will have to grind a lot, to get them done. Just I got to find out what a super volcano eruption looks like. computer slow down. Ouch. Excuse me, I wrapped my leg a little. All right, back. I hate it when they mix Christmas music in with it. I don't like Christmas. I don't like Christmas music during Christmas time. Pardon. What was I saying about Muslims? Uh, randomly cut an hour? I don't know what to think about that. You saying the stream seems to randomly have cut an hour? I don't know what to say to that. But what I was saying about Muslims, basically, we've got a bunch of people in this world who are in a nightmarish state of denial. Uh, I cannot rightly comprehend the kind of mentality that can let people watch as Muslims the world over butcher and rape and murder and slaughter and enslave and abuse and just you've got the idea. It's just horrific. And you look at these people and you go, "What the hell is the matter with you that you keep saying it's still a religion of peace?" And their only solution, oh, those aren't real Muslims. They're standing there with a Quran in one hand and a scimitar in the other, screaming Allahu Akbar, and they have been just like their father before them and their grandfather and their great great grandfather before them. There's only 2 hours of stream footage. Go figure. I don't know. There, that's bizarre. That is bizarre. I don't know what that is. Okay, get your tinfoil hats, kids. Interesting that apparently it cut off about the middle of where I was talking about Muslims going bonkers. Look, they're Muslims. It doesn't matter what your college professor slurping his soy latte thinks they are. They're Muslim, and they have been Muslim all the way back. And this is what a Muslim is, and has been all the way back to Muhammad himself. Muslims are peaceful, in very few circumstances are a Muslim peaceful. One, when they're outnumbered, when they first started infiltrating a country. Two, when they're dead. And three, when they've just finished conquering someone. And give them 5 minutes after that, and they're at each other's throats. Islam is not a religion. It is a cult of conquest. Conquest, rape, murder, and enslavement. And the people that refuse to admit that, they're in a state of denial to boggle the mind. And these idiots are going to get all the rest of us killed. I think everything that I might have said in that missing hour can be summed up right there. This is how what they're doing now is nothing different from what they did back when they conquered Mecca and Medina. They infiltrated. They waited until their numbers were sufficient, and then they ripped those two places apart from the inside out. Raped the corpses and moved on. Nothing's changed in 14 centuries. Too old for this. I don't know why I've only got 2.5. Well, I've got 3 hours of. According to this, I started 3 hours ago, but there are only 2 hours of footage. That must be some sort of glitch. I don't know. Yeah, according to this, I've only got 1 hour and 58 minutes. Maybe the stream split for some reason. I don't know. Check the video right before it. Maybe there's another video, maybe broken in half. I don't know. It's me not know how it work. Yeah. Gotta check something real quick here. We've reached an era where people think that imagination land is more important than reality. If they say, well, that's not how I see it, then the rest of the world is supposed to comply with them. I self-identify. I'm a male. I was born male, but I self-identify female. No, you don't. You're still a male. You're still a man. What you are is in denial. And I'm not going to help you. But we got entire groups of people that insist I'm cisgender trans non dual bilateral symmetry with dual carbs. I don't know. I sexually identify as an attack helicopter, as the joke goes. and they're trapped in the land of make-believe, and the rest of us are supposed to play along. And if we don't, they scream and throw a tantrum and break things and set things on fire and call their lawyers. We're happily married. You're two men. No, you're not. Two men living in a filthy, depraved, sinful lifestyle. And neither of you is a husband or a wife. These people that live in this world, as Mark Twain put it, if I got a dog and I decide to call his, it's arguing whether it was Lincoln or Twain that said this verse. He said, if I got a dog and I tell you that his tail is now called a leg, how many legs does a dog have? And they look at him and say, 5. No, you fool. He's got 4 legs and a tail. It doesn't matter what I call the tail. It's still a tail. But we live in a world where people are willing to hold the rest of us at gunpoint and demand that we play pretend along with them. While they get out their dollies and their tea trays, and we're all supposed to sit down while they play house together and pretend they're everything, but they're not. And meanwhile, the real threat to the world is beating down the door. The real threat to our lives is, beating at the door. And they say, we tell them, the Muslims are going to destroy us. No, they're not. They're peaceful. Religion of peace, religion of peace, religion of peace. Hashtag not all Muslims. Well, try that with the Jews. Tell the Jewish guy, hashtag not all Nazis. Doesn't change, no, not all Nazi, not every Nazi out there did kill a Jew. But they espoused the beliefs. They supported it. They transmitted it like a disease to their children. They were told all their lives, they told if they wish and they pretend hard enough, that reality didn't matter. That was one of the things about Zootopia. There's one scene where the police chief he's ranting at the cop. He says, "It's not what you want. It's about what you are capable of." And that is a truism. This is damaged because that truth got damaged because it didn't serve the narrative of the story. But it required, for narrative purposes, that Chief Bogo was ignoring that she could do the job. She, you watch the movie, and Judy Hopps, she graduated at the head of her class, which means that she excelled at everything that they threw at her, whether it was the book work or the field work. She surpassed every expectation. She got her badge. She came out, and the first thing she did was she caught a crook that none of the other quote-unquote real cops could even keep up with. So she was capable of, that was what she was capable of, and he was ignoring it. But in any other circumstances, what he said would have been a vital, life-changing truth. In the real world, female cops and soldiers and firemen are not as capable as male ones. Their emotional makeup, their physical strength, and everything else means that they are less capable, on average, than their male counterparts. But we are supposed to pretend otherwise. Men cannot be mothers. Women cannot be fathers. You'd think that would be obvious. But no, we have to reteach people that wishful thinking does not trump anything in meat space, okay? That's the phrase I'm going to use. Welcome to meat space. Where you can't change the reality just by deleting the options you don't like. Excuse me. Coughing. I love this one. There's one girl who's writing here about humanized versions of My Little Pony. I've seen so many. They draw the various characters as black, or he's never, almost never is never Asian or Native American or Indian. It's always black. And when people say, why are you drawing them as black? They get bent out of shape. They're like, you racist, you racist. There's nothing that says they aren't black. Well, the fact that they're literate and not in prison. Yes, I went there. Yeah, but let's talk about that. It's not a stereotype. It's not prejudice if the majority. It's not prejudice if an obscene percentage of the minority in question is living up to that. It is not racist to draw black people with frizzy hair because guess what? They have frizzy hair. And if the majority of black people out there, look, do you realize that black people make up what 15% of the population, and yet they make up a third to a half of our prison population. African American people have gone out of their way. Back in the day, they want it both ways. You remember Ebonics? They tried to pass off uh, the uh, the illiterate street slang of African American kids as if it were a legitimate version of English. These are the same people who think that portrayal, buckwheat was a racist portrayal of black kids, but Fulio out here with his gold teeth and his chain and his pants dropped around halfway down his ass is empowering. There's nothing that says that there's nothing that says those characters are white. There's nothing that says they're black either, and there's less that says that they're black. They don't show any of the examples of the culture. They don't show any examples of the vernacular. They don't, they don't do anything that would associate them with black culture. If you see a pony hopping through there and goes, "Oi, Gavolten," and has and is wearing a yarmulke and has a Jewish star on for a cutie mark, he must be Jewish. Racist? No. You can't win with them. I mean, the only character in there that is definitely African is the damn zebra. And she was supposed to be a commentary about how you shouldn't judge people by their appearance. She came out there and she was African American. She had all these things that African American people are always talking about: African pride, black pride. She decorated her house in African style. She wore African jewelry, had her hairstyle in an African mohawk, and spoke a native tongue of Africa. She's supposed to speak Swahili actually, and somehow that's racist. Racist. The only one of the cast that's from Africa was the damn zebra, but they trying to make every other character in the show African American. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they're trying to steal a chase. They're trying to associate they're trying to steal the character's positive reputation for the African American movement. We want a black person. We want you to make that black person look good. Why? Because they're a black person. For crying out loud. When Zecora appeared, positively portrayed character of a Native American. No, if a realistic portrayal of an African tribesman would be a lot less pretty. And then come around the Halloween episode, she comes. They kept complaining. Oh, she's this disgusting stereotype. And then they come out and she's wearing a long white wig. She looks sort of like a ponified version of Storm from the X-Men. And people were coming out. They Caucasianized her. They gave her long white. They straightened her hair and so what the frack? And I've seen characters, they've tried to draw Fluttershy, and they're trying to pass off Fluttershy as a Muslim. They show her in a high, what do they call it, the hijab, or whatever that all-encompassing burrito wrap they put their woman in is. And I just want to leap across the internet and start just face punching until I reach the back of their heads. I feel that same way as if during World War II they came out and they started to, they took a popular American character and drew her as a German Hausfrau with a swastika tattoo on her arm. Punch, punch, punch. I do not apologize for despising Islam. I do not apologize for telling things like it is. No. They can't do anything original. Why is it that instead of creating new original characters that are minorities, that they've got to steal a white character, put him in blackface, and pass him off, African American, diversity. They did it, they either put him in blackface or put some tits on him. Thor, turn him into a woman. Diversity. Got a couple of characters over here. Let's make them gay. It's so special. Diversity. No, they're not being diverse. They're trying to steal the popularity of an established character and glom it onto, and try and associate the parasiting the popularity of these characters. If what the hell, you want an African American character in My Little Pony. Oh, for Christ's sake, you already got one. And you want more? Make a few more. Wouldn't kill anything to show a few more zebra characters in there, would there? No. Can't do that. They better thank God that I'm not in charge of some of these shows. Because I'm a right evil bastard. If I start hearing people squeak and squawk, oh, we need more African characters. We want some African, make some of them ponies African American. And I'd look at him and go, what about Sakura here? She's not African. She's your stupid stereotype. Racist. I'd come out. I'd make me a character. He'd be chocolate. I'd call him Chocolate Fro. I'll give him a big old afro on his head, bigger than Pinkie Pie's. He'd be chocolate brown and he'd talk in ghetto and Ebonics. And his cutie mark would be a big old watermelon slice. I'd be like, there you go. I'd do it too. Try me. I have no idea where the hell the watermelon thing came from. I don't know. Actually, the watermelon is supposed to be it's a descendant from the original vines came out of Africa. And they've been bred all over the world and grown, and eventually they worked over here. But I don't know why. I don't know why. There's no direct association. They both came from the same continent, but I really don't think that's the reason. Ask yourself that. Why do they associate fried chicken and beer and watermelon? Why do they associate those with black people? I'm sitting here. I was reading this one comic one day, and it was joking about how this one character is supposed to be black, and all his friends are kind of dumb, and they keep inadvertently insulting him, and happy birthday, and they bring him in a buffet, and they bring in and you say, oh, lovely fried chicken, beer, watermelon. I'm sitting there reading this, and I say, pull me up a plate. Pull me up a plate. Not the beer. Give me some root beer maybe, but fried chicken, man, fried chicken, watermelon, purple drink. Oh man, I grew up on grape Kool-Aid. You know it. That wasn't a black or white thing when I was growing up. That was a well, us thing. Grape Kool-Aid, man, and grape soda, man. Like that one black comedian says, here's a flavor that white people don't know about. We don't drink grape stuff. We drink purple. Give me some of that purple. Want some grape juice? No, man, it ain't purple enough. I'm like, what you talking about, black boy? I'm a whitey here. I'm a honky. I lived on purple. Don't you go commandeering my culture. Pass me that purple drink. Give me some of that purple, a glass of purple and some fried chicken, please. I'm serious. Right now, I want some. KFC, mother. Get some. That ain't a black thing. That ain't a white thing. It's a poor thing, really. Fried chicken. That's the thing. But I always get a craving for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Something about Kentucky Fried Chicken. You get it, and you're craving it, and you're starving for it, and you're dying for it, and you get it, and you eat a couple pieces, and you're like, greasy. And you're like, bleh. And you stick the rest in the fridge. But then you stick the rest in the fridge. You come back later when it's cold. It's like, oh, that's so much better. It's cold Kentucky Fried Chicken. Refrigerate, cold fridge Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's some good stuff. Nom nom. Everybody talking about you stereotypist and racist. I'm like, I want to drag these people by the ear over to the window. I've lived in a couple of cities. I want to drag them over, make them look out the front door. Every stereotype I've described, walking up and down the street. I ain't got a problem with it either. You want to wear a fro? Congratulations. You're going to have a hell of a time getting through a door, but, it looks stupid, but do your thing. And everybody trying to pretend that Chinese people don't have slanted eyes, that black people don't have curly hair, that everybody trying to pretend that obviously Caucasian or North European style character. I'm sorry, however you want to put it. Let's be literal. My Little Pony characters are all Canadian. Last time I checked, Canada isn't exactly known for its high African population. Come on already. We've seen their voice actors. We know better. That's the whole object. The whole objective of these people isn't fairness or justice or equality or dignity in their portrayal. We want to be. They want to complain about something, and they want to have something to complain about, and they want to cause trouble about something. And if you gave them everything they asked for, the very next day they'd find something completely on the opposite side of the table to complain about. It's like that old story is one woman decided, her husband complained all the time. Gripe, 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 complain, 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 no matter what she did. And she talked to her, she talked to her friends, she talked to her pastor, she talked to, God advice. Finally, I'm going to give it one last shot here. I'm going to do everything just right, just the way he wants it. And she got up that morning. She comes in and he's sitting there. And she asks him what he wants for breakfast. And he looks at her and he says, toast, bacon, extra, crispy bacon, not, and it has to be extra crispy, and the toast, butter on one side and jelly on the other. And he says, I want, 2 eggs, one scrambled, one fried. And she goes and she slaves over, and gets it all fixed up. One scrambled, one fried. She sets the plate in front of him. He just sits there and looks at it, huffs at it, and looks up at her and says, "It figures. You scrambled the wrong one." That's these people's mentality. If they ever stop complaining or stop trying to pimp out their race, or if they ever found a reason to, if they ever reached a point where they could, they gave them, if they ever stop complaining, they stop being important. And they're, it's not enough to be given everything. No, they got to take everything everybody else has too. They gotta make Captain America gay. They gotta make Spider-Man black. They gotta make Thor a woman. They gotta, they gotta take Fluttershy and make her a Muslim. They gotta shoehorn their precious snowflake selves in everywhere they never even belonged. They got to shoehorn themselves in where they've already got everything. They got to shoehorn themselves into everything else. Over I think like some like 25% of all the TV shows running right now have a gay character with a gay subplot going on the side. All this for a population demographic that represents less than 3% of the general population, and yet they insist that they are underrepresented. And they never asked for an original. They never asked for an original. Okay, they demand that characters that have been gay, straight. They demand that characters that have been straight, hetero, and white and male forever suddenly be transformed into one of their special snowflake minorities, because they know they can't create a character with those attributes that will, they can't create anything. They can only steal what somebody else did and put their label on it. They're like these Chinese companies. They pirate other companies' product designs and put on badly written, uh, uh, rip off names on it. Like you get in, you go to a Chinese store. You want ice cream? You want candy bar? Here, have Snockers. Buy a couple of sneakers, Neeke, Nikes. Now you've seen a collection of random plastic rip-off figurines together as a superhero adventure team with a ripped-off Super Friends or Justice League logo behind the box, and one of the characters is Shrek. Good night. And when they do it the other way around, I'm just not that. Take Avatar: The Last Airbender, the movie. Every last one of the characters was supposed to be some sort of Asian. Every last character was played by a white dude. What the hell, Shammy Lammy? That's what I call him. I can't pronounce his last name. I don't think anybody else can either. Like fair money that M. Night Shyamalan can't pronounce his own name. But Shamalama, he got a movie that has Asian characters, and what he do is white dudes. The only character that was even remotely Asian was the villain. Just punch, 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 punch the stupid head. It was just bad. They used to do that to African Americans. They'd take jazz numbers, blues and jazz numbers, and they give it to some white dude to sing. Remember, when a man loves a woman. It was Kenny G. What was it? Kenny G. Whatever his name was. He's saying, okay, when a man needs a big hit, swipe one off a dead brother. Ain't right. Ain't right no matter who does it. Yeah, the lesbian couple ending of The Legend of Korra. I heard about that. Man alive. They, it's like they heard. It's like they heard about Sodom and Gomorrah and said, we can beat that. You want me to just make an original character. You want black characters, make a black character. You want a strong female, make a strong female character. And I'm sorry, they did that and they hated it. Has everybody else forgotten Firefly? Joss Whedon I mean, he's the original strong female character guy. He's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Most of the every female in the cast of that show kicked booty in three different directions. River Tam on Firefly. Empress of Whoop Ass. And they hated him, and the feminists hated him. And he makes all these terrible, he makes all these concessions to them, and they hate him all the much more for that. Feminists are like any other women; they don't like a man that gives them whatever they want. They don't like a wimp. And the people that fold like wet toast to feminist demands are wimps. And these male feminists, they couldn't be more emasculated if they had a surgically attached vagina. I need feminism because all men are suspected rapists. And there's a man standing there holding a sign like that. I need feminism too because men can grow beards and women can't. You think I'm making that one up? Just torqued. Okay. Okay, it is 9:44. It is 9:44. Yippee-ki, kippee-yi, yippee-yi, yay. I don't know whether I want to keep going or whether I want to stop. I don't know. Tired and I'm kind of hungry. So thirsty, and I'm gonna. Flipping around, kind of hoping I'll find some spare change floating around in there somewhere so I can. angry, 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 angry all the time. Sometimes the only thing that seems to keep me going is anger. I'm either angry or depressed or caffeinated. This is the last chance I'm giving that lawnmower guy. If he doesn't do a good job, if he doesn't leave my lawn looking good, there's going to be, there's going to be a parting of the ways, to put it mildly. Feeling a little tuckered. I'm always, I'm always either angry, tired, depressed, or caffeinated. All sorts of cluttered stuff on this page I'm looking at. I'm trying to figure out. Somebody must be setting off a few extra leftover fireworks up there. See, I'm trying to. Let's see. Project Wonderful. Checking this. I'm looking through all my different accounts and stuff, and basically I've got like sofa change scattered among them. Nothing, not enough to actually make a transaction, but it's there. It's just floating around. A couple of dollars here, a couple of dollars there. Yay. My info. Log in, come on. Checking out kablam.com. Seeing if I got any balances there. I've got a bankroll deposit in there as printing credit. That's specifically for when the book is finished, when the probability bomb is finished, to print out all the copies that go to the patrons. Let's see here. Oh, August 6th. That's nice. They'll be coming back off hiatus. Oh, they don't know what to do with what they've got. Of course, who does? Okay, I'm starting to drift off here. I'm gonna go ahead, call it a night. I'll see you well, I don't know if I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm gonna be running around in the afternoon. I gotta run to the doctor's office at 2 p.m. and my health, no, my actually my uh, therapist go down for therapy, and so should be seeing you. What's these today? Tomorrow's Wednesday, or is today Wednesday? Is today Wednesday? Is tomorrow's Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. So I'll see y'all Thursday. Thursday evening. We'll pick up from there. Invite your friends, invite your family. Come by and see the show. Bring money. Bring lots of rich people with no idea what to spend their money on. Oh. Ha. I'll catch y'all then. Y'all take care of yourselves. Say a prayer for my I'll say it's, I'll be specific now. Say a prayer for my financial situation, because I'm broke. I'm flat broke, and I'm in debt, and I owe everybody money. And everybody wants a piece of me, and I ain't got nothing left. Y'all take care of yourselves. I'll catch you then. Good night.